Well, interestingly enough, the actual writing of the script for Just a Beer I was doing it as an exercise to get my creative juices flowing for a project that I was working on for my agent in LA. And I had always considered my relationship with my dad pretty solid. I've talked to a lot of friends and to a lot of people, and it's no secret that I dedicate a lot of stuff to my dad, and I give him credit for a lot of things in my life, especially in the martial arts with the boxing and the Irish stick fighting. But it was interesting. I had a discussion with my mom a while back, and I don't know how we got onto it, but she ended up telling me that his only one regret in life was that him and I never sat down and had a beer together. And that really surprised me because, like I said, everything I learned from my dad I felt was what I was supposed to learn, like, you know, how to take care of yourself, how to drive in a nail, how to build something, you know, guy stuff. And we did a lot of that. And the way it struck my ear when she said it, I kind of sloughed it off initially, but then when I was trying to get my creative juices flowing for the project, for the LA project I was working on, I started to write the script, and I entitled it Just a Beer. And I based it around if my dad could come back from the dead and sit down and have a beer with me, what we would talk about. And as I started to write it, it started to write itself, but stuff was coming out of me that I never knew was there. And all of a sudden, it became this living document. And once I finished it, and I read through it a couple of times, and the original draft was about 35 pages, I was talking to my wife and I said, you know, I might try to do this as a short film. And she agreed. She thought it was very different from the usual stuff that I do. And I was just surprised that what was in me came out in this script. And we trimmed it down so we can do a 16-minute film. And all of a sudden, it just took on this life of its own, and it became its own project. Well, I approached Sean Cullen simply, again, based on something my dad always believed. Because my dad knew I wanted to get into film and filmmaking, and we talked about a few things, but he was really adamant that the best dramatic actors are comedians. And his take on it was that comedy was very, very hard, and there was a lot of timing, but you had to reach down into a part of yourself that you don't let other people see as you. You're always you're playing the comedian on the stage, so it's always acting. It's always kind of playing a person, and to touch the other side of the coin, because if you have this funny coin, you always have the other side, and it should be the exact opposite. So if a guy's extremely funny, that means he can be extremely dramatic, and that's what my dad believed. And I never really forgot that. And then when I found out later that after my dad passed away, I found out that he wanted to be a stand-up comedian and he wanted to be a musician, but because, you know, he ended up having a son and having to take care of his son, he had to give up that life and do something else to make a living. I guess that kind of stuck with me. So when I was looking for someone to play Edward, I'm a big Sean Cullen fan, and I thought, you know what, I think Sean Cullen would be perfect for this role, only because he has a very similar energy to my dad. My dad was a little harder, a little more gruff, a little more kind of edgy, but there's something about Sean Cullen that when I watch him do his stand-up, his comedic timing was very much like my father's. So I thought, I'm going to approach him, and if anybody thinks that, you know, social media is a bunch of fluff, I, on a whim, found Sean Cullen on Twitter, and I tweeted to him, I wonder if Sean Cullen would like to do a dramatic role in a short film. And I tweeted it, and he got back to me like in 2 days saying, of course. And that was it. And then we contacted his representative, and it went from there, and all of a sudden he was on board. So we're really excited. I mean, I'm super excited to work with Sean, and I just think he's going to be amazing because I believe in what my dad said. And Sean is an amazing comedian. To me, means he's going to be an amazing dramatic actor. And I just can't wait to work with him. And I hope I'm up to the task. Well, you know what? I've learned not to have expectations because they never live up to what you create in your mind. But what I expect, or what I want to do with Just a Beer, is simply honor my dad. I want to do a nice piece of art that I can attach a dedication to and be proud that it's dedicated to him. I think in a very surreal sense, this film will be a therapy session for me, which the entire world gets to watch. And I think my therapist is my co-star, Sean Cullen, so that should be interesting. And if Sean, if you're watching this, don't freak out, buddy. No pressure. But I think it's something that I've needed to do since my dad passed away, and I never knew I needed to do it until, like I said, I stumbled upon that conversation with my mom, and then all of a sudden the script wrote itself. But my expectation is simply, I want to create a good film that people can sit down, watch, and say, wow, or simply, that's nice, or I enjoyed it. I don't want to think about where it'll take me or where it'll take anyone else. I just want to make a nice film and dedicate it to the memory of my dad. And everything after that will be gravy.